Good evening, everybody. It's Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading. I decided to record hopefully a quick video before the live stream tonight. It's a little after 9 p.m. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome newcomers. If you're a targeted person, I'm so sorry to hear that. But you're in the right place here because we disseminate a lot of excellent information to help you guide you through this horror show. And if you're not a targeted person, it will help you with the people that you probably know that are targeted in your life, or maybe you don't think that you're targeted, but you are. So we're going to continue with on the rat Snitch book by Claire Wolfe. So I recorded the introduction in part 1 a week and a half ago. And we got a little sidetracked, and now we're back on track, page 17, of recognizing a snitch. But before I get into that, speaking of snitches and morons, local morons that target me, they stole, or they unraveled my newly installed toilet paper. They stole a new bag of lesser evil popcorn. They stole some of my coffee. And they scooped out my face tallow cream. So I guess they wanted a little snacky and they needed to wipe their butts while they're prancing around in their cloaking devices outside. So anyway, how's your day been? Pete, thank you so much for asking why I didn't post, as somebody was concerned about me. I've just been really busy here, and thank you for the cat food donation. We had to unpackage that and some other things and rake leaves, and it's been raining here, and everything takes a little bit longer when it rains, so I'm just kind of catching up now. So recognizing a snitch. I'm sure all of you long-time targeted people, you can already tell who they are, but while some clumsy snitches are obvious, you know, like my neighbor who keeps falling in the ditch, they're obvious, many more are nearly impossible to recognize. What follows are not only guidelines, use them as an aid to your own brain and own gut, but understand that when you organize with others to do controversial things, you very probably will have at least one snitch in your midst. And that goes for probably, you know, at least one person that's in my chat on Saturday nights. You know, we've got a couple of perps in there, right? And definitely all over all of YouTube and our channels. So the longer you continue and or the more controversial your activities, the more likely you are to attract one or more rats. I guess I attract a lot of rats. You know, they keep dumping them in my house. Oh, also, last week I forgot to tell you guys, I did take a photo of it. And now I really like chipmunks. I think they're really cute. But Zumi comes running into my house, and he's like huddled in the corner there. And I just figured he's going to start grooming himself the way he usually does. But when I approached him, he was growling. I have never heard him growl before. And then he kept growling. And then I realized that he had something in his mouth. And then it dropped out of his mouth, and it was a chipmunk. And the chipmunk was in the house for hours until it met its untimely death. Zumi caught it again, and it was just horrible. But anyway. So yeah, recognizing a snitch, a rat. A rat. That's why you need to keep a bunch of feral cats around. Cats love to catch things that move like that. They love to catch those mice and rats and all kinds of things. Some typical things that snitches and or agent provocateurs do. A stranger or casual acquaintance tries to get you to do or advise on illegal activities. That's why I really don't like when you leave URLs in the comments section. it almost kind of forces me to click on it, and I don't even know what it is. It might be a good thing, it might not be a bad thing, you know, it might be not something that I want to be clicking on. So if you're going to post URLs, you have to send them to me first. They all get held for review anyway, but I don't like clicking on URLs if I don't have a title for it. So from now on, if you don't have a title for the URL, I will delete it. Okay, moving on. A stranger or casual acquaintance tries to get you to do or advise on illegal activities. Like, you know, most targeted people are clueless about what that is, you know. A friend suddenly starts pushing you to do or advise on illegal things. A person joins your group and makes statements he or she makes about his or her background, but just doesn't add up. A person joins your group and starts stirring up trouble and creating divisions. Oh, that's never happened before. No. We've never had that, have we? Have we had anything like that in the chat? How about that creepy voice? How about that creepy voice in the background? A person joins your group and starts stirring up trouble and creating divisions. Oh yeah, we had somebody like that. It was harassing David and I. Then they disappeared, which is usually the case with agent provocateurs. They disappear and then they come back under another name, another channel. But they're eavesdropping in the background usually, sort of like that gorilla creature that we're not so fond about. A person joins your group and is overly eager to be useful, to pay for the group's activities, to initiate activities, supply equipment, escalate dangerous activities. Somebody goes out of his way to gain your trust, to be really buddy-buddy with you. Then, when you resist getting into dubious activity, he drops all interest in you. He's only looking for an easier mark. You're asked to do illegal or dubious business with a friend of a friend. Now this is a big one because it's amazing how many friends of friends where controversial activities are involved are actually undercover cops. I guess some people call them those glowies, you know, the ones wearing the cheap suits, or like the little, you know, their sneakers and their jeans, and they're wearing a little hat and wearing a nicely tucked in shirt. Or they could be like the bun babes around here. They're wearing glasses, no makeup, and hang out in cars with dark windows. Oh, right. Those are the Fusion Center operatives. Someone asks you to do something illegal or dangerous that he could just as easily do himself or have done elsewhere. Somebody starts agitating to have your group do something outside the group's purposes. Hey, we're just running a little of this stuff across the border and it'll make us a lot of money that we can all use to do good. An older, more experienced person joins your group or circle and soon becomes a counselor of sorts to the youngest, most edgy, most insecure, most angry, or naive members. He cuts them out of the herd in order to pull them into illegal plots. This is a classic tactics of the agent provocateur. Anyone in your group starts agitating for violent action. People who agitate for illegal activities may be snitches, or they may be genuine fools who will attract snitches. These are not the only ways that snitches get you in trouble, but they're among the most common ones. On the other hand, appearances can be deceiving. An online commenter who goes by the handle, Bolucanagria, recalls, some years ago I was returning home from a job interview. I was changing buses in downtown Cincinnati when I saw that there was a hemp rally about to begin. Naturally, I stayed on to enjoy the festivities. I come from a job interview. I was dressed casually, but rather nicely. Slacks, button-down shirt, decent shoes. Also, I'm fairly large white guy with short hair. My preference because When my hair grows out, I look like a used Q-tip. I think we are already read this. So I'm standing in the back of the crowd when a band comes on to warm up to the crowd. The singer introduces the song by saying, "This is dedicated to all the undercover cops out there today." And about a dozen people turn and look at me with knowing expressions, and I had to laugh out loud. Okay, oops, I just passed too far down here. One second. What makes snitches so persuasive? Snitches, especially professional agent provocateurs, can be master manipulators. Many otherwise smart people have been drawn into their traps because they fail to recognize not only the specific techniques listed in the last section, but because they fail to understand the psychology of snitchery and entrapment. I've not heard that with snitchery. The psychology of snitchery and entrapment. Snitches play on your trust and your desire to go along with others. They may appeal to your loyalty or your fear or some other emotion. "You won't do it? Wow. And here I thought you were one of us. Come on. If you had any guts, you'd do it." How are we ever going to change things if we don't take radical action? They may literally cut from the herd the most naive, trusting, foolish, or discontent of your associates, isolate them, and psychologically manipulate them into committing crimes. They may pretend to be your friend, especially a friend in need. "I know you don't usually deal, but couldn't you just sell me a little from your stash?" Quote unquote. "Look, just help me get this money out of the country. It's no big deal. Hey, I know you have a machine shop in your garage. How about helping me cut down the barrel of this shotgun? I'll pay you." Oh my God. I mean, who's stupid enough to believe these things? Oh, okay, these are just bad examples. They may actually be your friend, but a friend who has gotten into legal trouble and has turned to snitching to save themselves from long prison sentence, like the same sorts of urgings as in the last bullet point, but this time coming from somebody whom that wouldn't be characteristic behavior. They may make it easy to commit crimes, but not only pushing the idea, but actually supplying the funding, the equipment, the transportation, and the planning for the crime. They may come across as natural leaders. "Trust me, I know how to do this." They may make hyper-strong appeals to your cause, then use the leverage they gain to make equally strong appeals for committing crimes. They often play upon normal human desire to want to do something, which is likely why, if you're a political person, you're a member of the group in the first place. And finally, let's never forget, some snitches play that most basic insect of all, SEX. Spy agencies have known this for as long as there have been spy agencies. The KGB used it to call it the sparrow trick. Get a red-blooded heterosexual male up close with an attentive, manipulative female, and said male will eventually whisper all manner of secrets into her ear. These days, it probably works the other way around, too, and no doubt homosexual attraction can blind eyes and loose lips just as effectively. Let me scroll down here. Another point to remember about snitches. This comes from Just Waiting, who also contributed to the excellent primer on interrogation that you'll find in the appendices. He notes, quote, "While all snitches are cowards, not all snitches are wimps or sissies. Just because we talk about them as lesser beings doesn't mean that some of them aren't tough as nails, fighters and brawlers. If nothing else, snitches show a very developed sense of self-preservation and a willingness to do anything to save their own ass. Being a rat doesn't diminish their ability to fight. It just changed their tactics and focus temporarily. So beware. Another way snitches can be dangerous is to physically hurt you if you get in their way." Mere snitching versus active entrapment. Back in the late 60s or thereabouts, there was a federal case in which the Treasury agents latched onto a printer who was willing to fantasize about doing some counterfeiting. Undercover Treasury agents encouraged him to really do it, despite being a printer. He didn't have the special plates required to print money, so the Treasury agents provided them. Then he didn't have the special paper required to print the money, so the Treasury agents provided it, and so on and so on. A judge tossed out the case, and rightly so. There would never have been a crime had the federal agents not provided the means and a big chunk of the motivation. That's entrapment. Today, that dumb sap of a printer would be in prison for a long, long time. As Bovard says, standards have changed. Although a jury would occasionally decide that some act of entrapment is so outlandish they refuse to convict, to do an internet search on FCPA, Africa Sting, for a great example, victims of entrapment have ended up serving decades in prison for going along with plots cooked up entirely by government agents. Even those eventually found not guilty may lose everything in the effort to save themselves. With courts allowing more and more acts that would once have been considered illegal entrapment, more and more mere snitches are using their wiles to talk people into illegal deeds and are even providing the means and money to carry out those deeds. The lines between mere snitches and agent provocateurs are blurring. Beware of anybody who not only wants you to commit illegal acts but goes out of his way to, quote unquote, help you do so. Dangerous myths about snitches and undercover agents. There are two huge myths about snitches, narcs, undercover agents, and other cop-associated rats that you hear about all the time. The people spouting this BS always sound as if they know it for a fact, but the only fact is that they are misinformed and are dangerously misinforming you. So here are two myths. Myth number one. If you ask someone is a narc, they have to tell you. No, they don't. The myth holds that if you say, are you a narc or are you a cop, the person replies no, then they can never ever bust you. Baloney. Every variety of snitch can look you straight in the eye and say, nope, I'm not a snitch. Then turn around and land you in jail. Court cases around the nation, a search engine is your friend here, have affirmed the right of government agents to lie to their targets, which brings us to myth number two. Cops are never allowed to lie to you. Oh my effing G. Cops and all kinds of other government agents lie, and they lie, and they lie, and they lie. And in nearly every case, the courts allow them to get away with it. And that brings us to a related subject. Increasingly, and I'm just going to interject that lawyers lie all the time. Lawyer and liar sound so similar. Increasingly, you can get in trouble for lying to them. Even an innocent and harmless misstatement can be twisted into a prison sentence for you. Search on Martha Stewart Prison, for example. Oh, I remember that case. Martha Stewart. There are a few sort of lies that are so egregious that if a police officer tells them the case against you may be thrown out of court. Attorney Jamie Spencer gives an example here, but only after you have been busted, scared out of your wits, deprived of your property, and perhaps driven into bankruptcy. So just remember, cops and other government agencies are the most evil liars in the world. Well, no. Government lawyers. Remember the criminal fraternity? The criminal fraternity that I've read. Yes, the criminal... Servants of the Lie. The book I read, The Criminal Fraternity, Servants of the Lie. Cops, judges, lawyers, and what was the other one? I think bankers or something like that. So just remember, cops and other government agencies are the most evil liars in the world, because they have power to hurt you, and they'll use it ruthlessly. And they know they can get away with almost anything. And if you know, or even have good reason to suspect that someone is a cop or any sort of government agent, do not talk to them. She writes here in bold print, do not talk to them about anything. Don't try to outwit them. Do not try to turn the tables on them. Don't talk about the weather around them. The only things you ever want to say to cops are things like, am I free to go? I do not consent to a search, or I will not speak to you without an attorney, President, unquote. Attorney safety tip. A day or two spent in jail because of a frustrated government agent beats a lifetime spent there because of a verbal misstep. Okay, so I'm going to end on that note. This is page 26 for my reference. So the next one I'll read when I have time, and because I've got the live stream in half an hour. What to do if you believe a snitch is personally targeting you? Oh, that's going to be a good one. Oh, my whole neighborhood are snitches. The whole neighborhood here is this bunch of snitches, right? What do they? They want to be called confidential informants, but they're nothing more than a rat snitch. Rats. So anyway, this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're going to be in the chat later this evening, and I'm going to upload this, and I will see you guys later. Remember to hit the thumbs up. It does help the channel grow, get the message out there, and I will be monetized back in February.